stake here is lives. Lives of people in the Middle East whose human dignity has been stripped and who are not being able to live like people. And again, people are divided. Our students are divided. They're going to keep being divided. No matter what you choose, they will remain divided. So you do have one choice to make. You have one choice to make. Like, will you stand up for those people who have no hope and who have no voice? Or will you not?
What I wanted to say, first of all, is that for all the people calling for campus unity, there's nothing sweeter than solidarity, and that is the basis for unity on our campus, and that is really all we're looking for. We're looking for solidarity. We recognize the pain of anyone in Sderot who's been shot by rockets. We recognize the pain of Israelis who've been killed by suicide bombers, and all we want is recognition that, according to Amnesty International says it's found indisputable evidence that Israeli forces used white phosphorus, a highly incendiary effect in densely populated residential areas in Gaza, putting the Palestinian civilian population at high risk. All we want with this bill is for you to recognize that these war crimes were committed, that the UC regions are invested in, and we're not claiming the SUC is invested in, the bill doesn't say that, it just says the UC regions are invested in these two American weapons companies. Show some solidarity to the people who have been harmed by these helicopters. We have full, complete solidarity with any Israelis, any Jews who have been harmed in any way by Hamas. If you support human rights, it should be very, very easy for you not to support harm to Palestinian civilians. We're only asking for recognition of the harm that has happened. That is all.
Listen, AIPAC, you will never muffle my scream or the screams that call for justice. You can never cover it with a propaganda that has distracted other Americans from the Israeli government's clear human rights violations. You have absolutely no control, you have no authority to control our student body, its thoughts, its consciousness, its organizing nothing. And even though the Israeli government has gotten away with muffling the cry,
me most is the gentleman from South Africa who tried to suggest that Nelson Mandela is on the side of Israel. No, sir. Let me read to you this one quote. Let me read this one quote. Apartheid, Israel, like South Africa, is an apartheid state. This is not the words of Nelson Mandela or some Hamas leader. These are the words of the Prime Minister, Dr. Hendrik Verwoerd, the architect of apartheid. He knows what he's talking about. Now, turn down this veto against the apartheid.
More than 1,400 people from Gaza died. A third of those were women and children. And this is the fact that no one talks about. More than 90% of the 1.5 million population have no sanitary water. Can you imagine living with no sanitary water? We take it for granted here in the Bay. We just open our faucets and drink water. Can you imagine 90% of a population not having sanitary water? Those military contracts, let me tell you what those military contracts are. They're for F-16s, they're for Apache helicopters, for General Electric, they're for engineering support and testing. When my auntie called me on the phone during the war in Gaza, she told me, I can't stop hearing the buzzing in my head, and that buzzing is the F-16s. And that is not just during war, this is now. She said, I can't breathe because I'm suffocating because of the testing, the General Electric testing of the white phosphorus on Gaza. I can't breathe. I'm suffocating, and you know what she said? She said, I want someone to hear my voice. Listen to me. Stand up for diversity. Stand up for justice.
but what I see here isn't necessarily division so much as disagreement. And people say that it's not Berkeley-esque to have this division, but what I see happening here is a conversation between two sides that I've never seen happen on this campus or on any other campus.
Yes, there were divisions before, yes, there are divisions now, but what it seemed like from what Senator Carlton was saying is that these divisions are okay. And I think that coming in tonight we were divided. I think that before tonight we were divided, and I think we were still divided.
Yes, this specific bill calls out Israel, but this is calling out human rights abuses is part of the Berkeley legacy. We've done this multiple instances for different instances around the world. Students, including students in the ASUC, have called out the South African apartheid, genocide in Darfur. In 2003, UC Berkeley students were at the forefront of the Bay Area mobilization against the war in Iraq, which is, in my opinion, a human rights violation that our own country has made. So I just want to say that as much as you may feel like we're calling out Israel, like I'm in support of calling out anyone and everyone who violates human rights.
I want to empathize with Jewish students who are feeling scared on campus or feeling unsafe right now, because it is since this bill's passage that I've felt unsafe on campus as the only Jewish senator who voted for this bill, because of threats made against me or being told I have some type of cultural pathology against my people. But I'm voting for this bill because its lasting effect is to create an evaluation for all investments in human rights violations from this body. And it's dialogues like tonight where we can see that while the Jewish community is scared and threatened, and I think a lot of us are feeling that way, that all parts of the community have a right to feel that tonight, because making a new space is scary. But that's exactly what I've seen tonight, is to carve out this new space from the crater of this bill's potential passage. And in a very personal way, I feel like that's what this bill did, is carve out this space for Jewish students like myself who know that there is community for us. And I just want to say I've never been prouder to be a Jew at Cal and never closer to my community. And I want to thank you all.
This bill, has been passed already. It's made the attention, it's gotten all the headlines. We've made a statement already, and that's not something that we can really separate ourselves from, whether or not we override this veto tonight. Second, something that's really disheartening about this bill to me is the fact that if this bill was about any other country, we would not have a room packed this full tonight. If we were here to talk about Chad or Sudan or any other country, we would think that we were the most powerful, the most blessed, the greatest people on earth for being able to divest from the war crimes of any other country. And so that's really disheartening to me, because it says that we place a lot more importance in certain regions than in other regions. And so I would like us to just really concentrate on the fact that as easily as you would cast your vote yes to divest from Sudan, as easily as you would cast your vote yes to divest from any other country in the world, Chad and Saudi Arabia or whatever, kind of try to detach yourself and vote objectively. Another thing is, we passed this bill 16-4, and it was vetoed by one person. So I want us to recognize that from a democratic sense, how we really are silencing 16 votes. Even within this Senate, we're silencing the majority in the Senate. We are in a very unique position right now. We are in history, and whether or not, whatever happens tonight, we are part of that history. And I have inbox messages saying things like, oh, you're incompetent. Muslims shouldn't be in the student government. Why are the Muslims infiltrating our student government? Kick the filthy Muslims out. And so that's just something that I wanted to share with you all, and that's just the real harsh reality, that's the kind of things that we've been getting for doing this. And it's a good sign, because if we make people a little bit uncomfortable, then we might be doing something right. So I just want to let you all know that
we have a little bit of power to do something, to give some people hope who never had any. So take it seriously.
I just want to encourage all the senators not to abstain. If any of you are thinking about abstaining, like this is probably the most serious vote that will make our entire lives. Actually, I don't think we'll become that. So really, don't even think about abstaining, please. That's all I have to say.